Freeze! Glenjamin Button, you're under arrest for spoiling thousands of movies for millions of listeners.
What? I'm innocent.
No, you're not, and you're also guilty of theft.
Theft of what?
For stealing my heart. The following podcast contains spoilers for Police Story. You have been warned.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glenjamin Button, along with your host, Miguel Sexy Gusto.
Oh, that's Officer Magusto to you.
I stole that man's heart.
You did.
One way or another.
Yes, you did. So how you doing today?
Listen, I've been a very busy boy today, and I'm not a fan. I hate when I run around all the time. I barely got to see this movie and hang out with you during this succulent time of speaking to each other called a podcast.
This was like a pick that you made that I feel like you should have like really taken the time to sit down and enjoy.
I should have taken it seriously. Instead, I'm just like an immature person who doesn't take a podcast seriously. What am I?
What are you?
Ugh.
Well, anyway, other than the movie that and the movie we're discussing, what have you watched this week?
Including the one we watched, I watched 3 movies. One we watched together, so I watched one movie away from you, technically. So I came across a documentary on YouTube. It was entirely a fan documentary. Not paid for by any studio or anything like that. This guy was just a fan of Steve-O, it seemed, and he just wanted to make a little documentary. So he compiled what seemed like a bunch of interviews that are found online, obviously out there in the world, and compiled it all into one documentary that's, I think, is about an hour and a half long, roughly. And it's actually really well done for a guy who didn't do any of the interviews himself. He compiled it all. It was like a very nice timeline of what Steve-O, he talks about basically his whole life. And there's just footage of just all kinds of stuff. It's kind of crazy how much work this guy had put into it. And it was very interesting to learn. Steve-O, for one thing you can respect him on, he's absolutely got his stories straight. For as much shit as that guy has gone through in his life and concussions and that man's story is solid, straight, and like he like you constantly hear him like repeating himself on some things because that's how down he's got his story. It's like it's kind of scary, like he's memorized it and like it's been a script and he just it's weird.
It's kind of like when you hear. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you watch a lot of comedian interviews, they will do versions of their joke within the interview. And it's just kind of their way to workshop and also sell themselves a little bit. And it's probably rehearsed a lot like those are. Yeah.
But the documentary was good. It was pretty, for a fan-made one, a lot of research went into it. It was pretty good. And then after that, we watched Malignant, which there is a video on, which I don't like to toot my own horn. Who am I kidding? Of course I do.
Toot away.
It was such a good video. And so that's on the YouTube there. And then, of course, I watched Police Story. So I want you to tell me a little bit about what you saw.
Oh, yes. Well, I watched a total of 5 movies, including the 2 that we watched together. The first one being Dark Water, which is the original Japanese version and not the American remake with Jennifer Connelly. Essentially, this divorced woman moves into an apartment with her daughter, and their house starts leaking, and the apartment complex does not want to do anything about it because apartment complexes. And it's just kind of a horror movie based on that, and there's ghostly elements to it and everything. It's a fairly decent horror movie.
Okay.
Probably the weakest of like the whole, like in the early 2000s there was like a influx of American remakes of Japanese horror movies. This was probably one of the weaker ones of that, in my opinion. I haven't seen the American remake, so I don't know how that is. But this one, compared to like Ringu and The Grudge and stuff, it's okay.
Okay.
Then I watched The Card Counter with our boy Oscar Isaac.
Oh, love that man.
Yes, and it's a fuck. What's his name? God, what's his name? Directed and written by Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver and wrote and directed First Reformed.
Okay.
It's essentially this guy who is a career card player,
Yeah.
you know, as the name suggests. And he runs into this guy from his past who was essentially his character was like one of the soldiers at one of those prisoner of war camps that got outed for being horrible to the prisoners. He was one of them, and he runs into the commander who ordered him to do that stuff but didn't see any retribution because he was not in the pictures online. And it's kind of like a revenge kind of thing. And Willem Dafoe is also in it. It's pretty great.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a very, for lack of a better word, flat movie. Like, there's no super intense parts, but it's like it's really interesting throughout the entire thing.
Okay.
Then I watched *Malignant*, which you can hear our thoughts on the YouTube video that Glenjamin edited. Then I watched *The Alpinist* or *Alpinist*. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's essentially it's a documentary about this climber who was famous for climbing ice and snow-covered mountains.
Which is very dangerous.
Yes, and there's a little bit of a little bit about him and how dangerous that is. I think your friends who are into rock climbing would really like it. It's
Yeah, I'll pass it on to him.
yeah, it's my biggest problem with it is that it tried to be like Free Solo. I don't know if you watched Free Solo.
I haven't yet, but I've heard great things, even from the rock climber friends.
Yeah, but Free Solo is a great documentary about rock climbing, something that I don't particularly care about, but they made me care about it in Free Solo.
Yeah.
In this, it's an interesting story, but in my opinion, they focus on the wrong aspects of it. It's one of those things where it happened in real life, so like it's not really spoiling it because it happened in real life if you know anything about it.
Yeah.
But also, if you don't know anything about it, it probably is going to hit you different. So I don't really want to say anything, but I feel like they focus on the wrong aspect of it, and could have been a lot better if they did something else. But what can you do?
What can you do?
And then I watched Police Story, which we'll get into in just a minute. But Glenjamin Button, do you have any news?
I do kind of have a little bit of news that kind of annoyed me, if you want to partake.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it. I came across a little article that it might be the headline that pissed me off the most. It says, Dune 2 greenlight reportedly depends on the HBO Max performance, which I can see why that is true, but also that's got to be like a clickbaity thing, right?
It's got to be.
Because Dune, as far as I don't know if you knew this, but Denis Villeneuve has actually pitched to do 1 and 2 back to back, and he actually got denied for that.
Dumbasses.
Yeah. Apparently, there's maybe a little series in the works somehow, but I know that they denied the 1 and 2 parter. Because they want to see how 1 does, and then they'll go into 2, depending on obviously how box office does, and then of course they're gonna put it on HBO Max, and they want to see how it does on there as well.
You want to hear why that's dumb?
Tell me.
So a lot of the reason there are like sequels, especially towards the end of a franchise, is where they shoot one and the other back to back. It is significantly cheaper to shoot films consecutively than it is to break away for like a year, come back, rebuild everything. It's cheaper to just keep everything and everyone there. So to deny him to do that is just dumb. It's dumb. Like from a financial standpoint, you're setting yourself up for failure. So that alone, I didn't know that he had plugged to do that, and that alone makes me think that they had no intention of doing a second one at all, if that's the case, because it is just significantly cheaper to do them back to back if it is. And obviously with things like Harry Potter, they have had to split it up because the kids are supposed to age. But like Lord of the Rings, all three of those were back to back. The Hobbits, they were all back to back. It's just so much cheaper to do things consecutively. And it's dumb.
If you don't mind me reading this little paragraph,
go for it.
Tell you a little bit. After getting a whopping $165 million budget from Warner Brothers and facing a year's worth of delays, it's safe to say a lot's riding on the success of Dune. The film and its upcoming spin-off series have major franchise material, but there's a possibility audiences might not feel connected to the lengthy 2.5-hour sci-fi flick. Regardless of how impressive the visuals look, but regardless of its theatrical performance, HBO Max has a sizable subscriber base that will hopefully give Dune the number it needs to get Dune 2 greenlit. It'll be interesting to see how a film of this scale translates to the pandemic-era box office, and if HBO Max will provide the push Dune needs to earn itself a big-budget sequel.
You know what's funny about that? It would have done better. There is no HBO Max push. It's just taking away. That's all it is. It's taken away, and anyone thinks that it's pushing is dumb. You're just
very
dumb if you think that. Like, yes, they might be getting more compared to not getting anything. Yeah, sure, whatever. But Shang-Chi has showed us that people just don't care about the pandemic. There's enough vaccinated people out there now that they just don't care. Delta variant be damned. People just are comfortable going back to the movies.
They do love them movies.
They love the movies. I mean, it's still not as busy as it has been, but like for a movie like Dune, people are going to flock to see that. People have been waiting for that for so long.
People want to see that small worm that was at the end of that trailer.
That's very small worm, yeah.
A very small worm.
But yeah, the term HBO Max push is so fucking stupid. That's like saying a Disney Plus push. Like, no, you stole millions of dollars from Scarlett Johansson. Just admit it. It's so fucking stupid. Like, yes, sure, maybe HBO Max will make money and the studios will make a small percentage of that, but they would undeniably make more money if it was a theater exclusive.
I mean, that's all the news I had there.
Yeah.
As annoying as it is to read.
Well, my news isn't really news. It's more of a fun fact. And, this could completely bite me in the ass. So we'll see how that goes. When I ask you the question, who is the actor that is in George of the Jungle, The Mummy, Encino Man, Doom Patrol? Who is that actor?
I've never heard of that man in my life.
Just say it how you say it.
Brendan Fraser.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Brendan Fraser?
It's Brendan Fraser. No, sure. There is a MTV clip of him kind of like making a joke about how everyone gets his name wrong that came up, where he says, "Hi, I'm Brendan Fraser, not Fraser." And if you pronounce it wrong, I know where you live, and he just threatens you. It's really funny. Anyway, yeah.
Maybe that was either a joke or he was actually serious. Who knows? And maybe not. Obviously, not the killing part. But
I think it is Fraser, but I don't think he cares if you pronounce it wrong.
Yeah.
But if that is in fact true, that it is Brendan Fraser, which I think it is, because it's like a dumb joke otherwise.
It's like that music artist whose name is like Hosier or whatever, or Hosier, but like he doesn't care enough to have people, or like to constantly correct people, so he's like, yeah, call me whatever you want.
yeah it's, I mean, if I had a name that people kept mispronouncing, I would do that too. But yeah, his name is Brendan Fraser, according to that video, which, again, if it's a joke, it's a dumb joke, but if he's making that dumb joke, I love you, Brendan Fraser. So
perfect.
That's all I got.
Just like him.
Yeah, let's get into Police Story.
Police Story. A virtuous Hong Kong police officer must clear his good name when the drug lord he is after frames him for the murder of a dirty cop. Directed directors is Jackie Chan in Chai Huan Chen. I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce a lot of these, so just get ready for that. It's written by Jackie Chan and Edward Tang. Stars Jackie Chan, Maggie Cheung, Bridget Lin, Yun Chor, Bill Tong, Ken Tong is in there. There's a lot of people. I don't want to butcher all their names, so I'm just going to stop there, to be honest with you. So yeah, this is a movie that I had picked because I know there's a lot of movies that I'm missing as far as, my agenda of Jackie Chan movies that I've got to watch.
For dominating his filmography.
Yeah, and this was one of them, and I know this was one of his best ones, and apparently, looking at the trivia, this is his favorite film that he's done, at least starred in. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I got to get on that. And I know this was one of his most dangerous stunts was in this movie as well.
No, what?
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
When I was watching this, I literally Googled, did anyone die in the filming of Police Story?
Yeah. So, of course, I had to. We've got the platform for the situation to watch movies. And this, it was time. It was time to watch it. Tell me, Mike, what'd you think, buddy?
I had a lot of fun watching this. It
Absolutely.
was from beginning to end, just a fun ride. From that ridiculous opening 10 minutes in which they destroyed an entire neighborhood by driving through it. It was just, it is the best of 80s cop movies without any of the cringe that were in like American 80s cop movies.
And they didn't over make it comedic or anything like that. Like
I think certain scenes were really comedic. I wouldn't say overly comedic. Like,
they didn't like make the whole film comedic is what I meant.
Yeah.
Like they didn't find a gag every time.
Yeah, but like just being just filled with snap zooms, Jackie Chan's like classic humor that he has. It was a really fun film to watch, and
It absolutely was.
It surprised me honestly because 80s movies are hit and miss with me. A lot of them, people who are obsessed with 80s movies, I'm glad that they are, but 80s movies are usually crap in my opinion. And the reason I keep talking is because I'm hearing the yelling in the background, and I know that you can't talk right now. So, but sorry, I had to call that out. But just the opening sequence with the shootout, where everyone's just shooting at everyone with no regard to collateral damage or casualties or anything, and for a second I was just like, is this serious? But the lack of regard for like casualties or anything in that opening shootout, and then they one of the cops says to Jackie Chan, is like, oh, they told us to make sure we don't shoot when any civilians are around, and he just goes, are they doing that? And I'm just like, okay, you're self-aware, and I know where this is going now.
Yeah, it's great, that especially that opening sequence. It kind of just straps. It was like a whole drug sting that was going down, and there was a lot of cops and a lot of criminals just blasting at each other, and it was crazy.
So I started blasting.
Anyway, so he started blasting. Literally said everybody at the same time in there. Just 800 Danny DeVitos. And just the whole everything that went down in there, and then the obviously driving the car through the town.
Well, three cars through the town.
It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And it's the things Jackie Chan does for like a scene or anything like that. Standing in front of a huge bus and just trusting that the brakes work.
Which in the bloopers they showed that the guy missed his mark and almost hit him, and Jackie had to jump out of the way.
Yep, it's so crazy, like how just professional he is at doing everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's so much more of a movie we have to talk about, but just obviously that opening sequence is great. Just specifically going, just bashing cars through a town and everything like that, and how many people were involved.
Yeah.
Just with that scene alone.
Yeah, and I also like while this wasn't like a complete comedy, I do really enjoy how it didn't take itself too seriously. Like you have Jackie Chan's character being kind of a a whiny dude in the beginning, with being assigned to watch this woman, and he's like trying to scare her and stuff. Just a bunch of goofy shit like that. That is just really only Jackie Chan could probably get away with. Like, if this were any other movie, I would just be like, or any other writer, director, actor, I'd just be like, okay, you're trying too hard. But because it's Jackie Chan, I'm just like, it's seamless for him.
Mm-hmm.
For him to go from drama to comedy, back to drama, back to comedy.
It's just his style, how good he is at it too.
Yeah, he's
almost
very good
every
at it.
movie he does as well.
He's kind of like in a way, I don't know if he's probably been called this before, but he's kind of like a Buster Keaton type, because Buster Keaton obviously was a comedian. He was a physical comedian in the silent era, but he also had some pretty serious moments in his films, and good action moments, and he reminds me a lot of Buster Keaton in how he, is just seamlessly able to go between comedy to drama, back to comedy. It's brilliant to just watch him work.
You know who else I really liked in this movie was Bridget Lynn. She was great.
Was she May or the?
She was Selena. Yeah,
Selena. Oh, she was Selena. Okay. Yeah. She was great too, and
especially at the end of the movie where
when she's actually fighting.
Yeah, she's actually trying to help Jackie at many points, and she's a trooper because she's doing a lot of her own stunts in this. At least it looks like she is.
3 panes of glass.
She's getting pushed through all these panes of glass and everything like that. And there was dedication there. It was awesome.
Faux show. Where can we really go with this? Because it's such a fun movie. There's so much to talk about. But
a lot of it has to do with, obviously, it's fighting and its little comedic moments in between. I think my favorite actual scene, and this is like one of the most serious parts of the movie, is where he gets framed for a murder for another like cop, where they're trying to obviously catch this bad guy, and then he like meets up with this group trying to get Selena back. Sorry, I'm fucking saying this terribly. He's trying to go get Selena back to get her back into the witness protection program. Yeah, but she's being held hostage by the people of like this drug cartel, basically, I guess you could say. So he goes to go get her, and then like he gets framed because the cartel basically shoots one of the other cops that's actually dirty. And hey, spoiler alert, I mean, if you're watching this, just whatever.
Hey, you heard our warning in the beginning.
You heard it. But the cop gets shot. They use Jackie's gun, and then it catches up that Jackie Chan's character shot a man. He is under arrest if you find him. So he goes back to the precinct, and he's like, I didn't shoot that man. And then like it gets super serious because you're under arrest, you're going to jail, yada yada. And he takes the captain hostage, and like it's this whole serious moment. It was kind of like a nice breath of fresh air of like how mature it got really quick, how serious it got.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it went back to its comedic moments eventually, but it was cool to like, it was like a serious moment actually in this film where you're like, oh, this isn't him fucking around. This is actually very serious. Like it's just that quick. That was like my favorite moment in the movie as far as that went. But my favorite scene was the telephone scene where he's trying to eat some ramen and he keeps getting calls.
God. That's the shit that I'm talking about. That's like it's very Buster Keaton-esque, where it's 100% physical comedy. He's not saying anything funny. It's just everything he's doing is hilarious, and it's just increasingly getting more and more ridiculous what he's doing. But this movie's filled with a bunch of that. Like the climactic fight scene in the mall starts off pretty normal, and then it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier to the point where someone literally gets onto a motorcycle that I'm sure the keys aren't in there, but somehow they get it on, and just to trip Jackie Chan with, not to like do any. They're just trying to trip him.
Yeah,
that's all they're trying to do. And then just the glass being broken. So much glass was broken. I read a trivia thing that
Yeah, I'm reading that one right now.
Yeah, so much glass was used that the crew began calling it Glass, the movie Glass Story, and it's just, it goes to show how Jackie Chan views the importance of comedy, because like what he's doing, what the choreography is from all of the actors is incredibly complex and serious, but then they have all of his glass just being broken just to be kind of not like laughing in stitches funny, but like it is just makes it so ridiculous. And for him to be able to like distract people away from their great choreography just for a little laugh just goes to show a lot about his character.
Yeah, he's easily one of the best, masters of, using props in any of his scenes that he's in. And like I said before earlier, this was one of those movies where obviously he had one of the craziest stunts that he had. And the one that most people probably know is where he's sliding down the pole, going through all those like string lights and other types of lights and stuff. He actually like burned the living shit out of his hands.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so like he didn't have wraps on his hand. He literally just jumped down that pole and went down like a fireman, and then basically was on fire, and then continued once he got to the bottom. Continued his scene trying to go off and fight dudes once he got there. And I know he's got another stunt there, if I'm reading this. He was actually hospitalized after following a stunt where he flips over the balcony and crashes through the glass and light display. I think I know which one he's talking about. It says he was not breathing afterwards. The dedication this man has to his stunts and his scenes, and obviously all of his team that he has, is impeccable. You know,
if I remember correctly, he got up and walked away after that too.
Yeah, that was the pole slide one. I think he did.
Well, no,
he got up and walked away.
Jumping over the balcony, crashing through the glass.
Oh yeah.
Granted, I'm sure they cut like as soon as he was out of frame, or maybe it was just such a smooth cut that I didn't notice that it was 2 takes. But yeah, that one, like every time he got up, I was just like, Jesus Christ, Jackie, is it really that worth it?
Yeah,
and he's got a vision. You gotta give him that. Like I personally think, and this is just my opinion, and I don't care that he does this. It's his body, it's his life. I think the amount of danger he puts his body in, no movie is worth that. But if he thinks it's worth it, who am I to tell him he's wrong? I think it's crazy. I would never ask anyone or do that myself.
He's made it this far.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously doing something. He's doing something right. But like, if he was as young as he is in this now, and I saw that, I'd be like, dude, you gotta slow down.
Yeah. Hey man, do you have a death wish or?
Yeah. Are you? Do you just do a bunch of cocaine? And...
No, I'm good. Yeah, this...
For the record, I do not think he has a cocaine addiction. I was just making a joke.
Yeah, his dedication to his films is absolutely insane, and like he always has my utmost respect.
Same.
I think it is hilarious. Basically, I don't know how he started his career, I know he was kind of one of the stuntmen in one of Bruce Lee's films where he gets kicked in the chest by Bruce Lee or something like that.
It was Enter the Dragon, I believe.
Yeah. And then it sparked that whole interview where he's like, I just wanted Bruce Lee to hold me after. And what was like his first breakaway film? Do you know?
Breakaway film?
Like
I'm not
where
sure.
he got started is like this star, really.
I heard
because it made me think during this movie, like, where did Jackie Chan come from? Like he just
Hong Kong. He came from Hong Kong.
He kind of just popped up, after being a stuntman, obviously.
I know this probably isn't true, but I always heard that he started in porn, and I don't think that's true at all.
Oh, he took the Sylvester Stallone route.
Yeah. And I'm not 100% sure that one's true either, but, I believe that one more than Jackie Chan doing it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, as far as on American radars, it might be this. I'm just going through his filmography right now.
So
Drunken Master probably for American audiences.
Yeah.
that one is like the first big name that I recognize. I could be wrong. I'm not a huge kung fu movie fan, so there might be someone out there who's just like, you idiot, it's the Hand of Death or whatever.
Hey, listen, I'm just curious. I do want to know.
Yeah, but the first one I recognize is Drunken Master.
Attack of the Kung Fu Girls.
Yeah, but he's great, and I just love that he's became this like huge international star that no one really dislikes. He's just a fun performer to watch, and
yeah, I know I know he is disliked for more or less his political views, but like we're not going to touch that at all.
Here or in China?
In China.
Oh yeah,
well, I mean he was obviously born and raised in China, so he's obviously got those political views.
It's a little different because he was born in Hong Kong, which at the time of his birth was a British colony. Mm-hmm. So it was under British rule for very long. So they don't have the whole communist background that the rest of China has. But again, we're not getting into that.
Yeah,
we love you, Jackie.
But regardless, I love Jackie.
Yeah,
I think he's great. I always love his movies, no matter which one. I do want to watch his earlier career, even earlier than this one. This was 1985, right? Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to see where this man just kind of popped up from. This makes me want to do more homework.
Yeah.
And I know he's got some more good movies in there.
Yeah, I'll have to let you do that and then tell me which ones I should watch.
No problem at all.
Because I like kung fu movies, but not enough to like sift through a bunch of bad ones, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I mean, you've watched Drunken Master, right?
I have not. That's just the first one I recognized. Hey.
Drunken Master.
Hey, don't do what I did to you for like the first 10 years of our friendship.
Do I just throw 367 movies at you at once?
Well, no, just like anytime you say you haven't seen a movie,
yeah. Oh, what an idiot. Hey, now you know how it feels.
I also said 10 years when we haven't even known each other.
It's been maybe 8, not even.
Yeah. But yeah, this was great. I don't really have too much to say. It was just it was way more fun than I expected it.
Yeah.
The poster is misleading because it makes it look super serious.
The poster also makes it look so American for some reason.
This poster, the one that's on IMDb, yes. If you look at the Criterion one, which is like him hanging off the bus with the umbrella, I feel like that is a better indication of what kind of film this is. It's I just passed one that's the phone scene. It's a Police Story poster that is just the phone scene.
Nice.
But yeah, I had so much fun watching this. It was, I laughed way more than I thought I did. I was into the action way more than I thought I did. Unlike most people, and I know people are going to think I'm crazy for this, I stop caring when there's action usually. It takes a lot to impress me with action anymore just because of how many movies I watch. But this really impressed me with the action, and to the point where, like, I laughed because there were 3 cars going through this poor slum of a village. And that people just died.
Yeah, there's at least a lot of people that died in there.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, chickens died.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Poor chickens.
But yeah, I got nothing else to say about this.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, so that brings us to the judgment segment of the episode. As always, it has to be a unanimous decision for it to be a Little Shelf Boy with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Glenn, this was your pick, so you get to go first on whether or not this becomes a KFR Shelf Boy.
I think it's pretty simple to know that we both enjoyed this movie a lot.
Yeah.
Knowing that you surprisingly liked it a lot makes me feel better, and I think we know where this is going. It's a yes for me, definitely.
And it's a no for me.
Oh, thank God. I just didn't want to be the one to say no.
No, I'm kidding. This really surprised me. I didn't know this was on the Criterion Collection. Like, I knew it was on the Criterion Channel.
Yes.
But what people need to realize is the Criterion Channel is different from a Criterion Collection. The Criterion Collection is a little bit more nitpicky than the Criterion Channel. I digress. But when I found out this was on the Criterion Channel, which was after I watched it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. This is a really good film.
Yes.
A fun action cop drama comedy from the 80s. So yes, this absolutely goes onto the shelf. Perfection. So Police Story makes it on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our plugs. Glenn, it's your week still, so why aren't you telling me your plug yet?
Perfect. I'm here to tell you about it. And you know what? While I'm at it, let me look up something real quick. Very recently, there had been and I'm sorry, I'm about to get a little weeby on you.
Oh, fuck.
There had been a Japanese manga artist by the name of Kentaro Miura, who created this story called Berserk. I had plugged a song of Berserk at one point during our little whole podcasting thing. He actually passed away in May. I don't know if I talked about that or not before, but they just issued the last chapter of his story that he has made specifically, and I know they are making plans of continuing or not continuing. It's kind of up in the air right now. They're kind of going through his stuff, trying to figure out what to do now. But his last chapter just went live the other day, and it is now the 13th when we're doing this. But chapter 364 is up. So that's going to be mine. Is if anybody cares, about manga at all. Berserk was really good for what I know this doesn't cater to Mike in the slightest, but if anybody does care, Berserk was a really good story, and I don't read manga ever. I'm not that deep into that that style, and I'm so content and sad in my life. But Mike, what about you? What do you have?
Mine is going to be a little bit more uplifting. This is going to bring out your inner child, if you will. There is a plethora of competition shows out there. I stumbled upon this one about a month or two ago. I've been waiting for this moment to plug it because the season finale of season 2 will be on Hulu by the time this episode airs. And that is the competition show Lego Masters, with hosted by Will Arnett. It is a competition show where people are assigned little projects that they have to build out of Lego, and they do, and
they really do.
What these people do with Lego is remarkable, and it's just really fun to watch. It's kind of like, it's got the feeling in a way of Great British Bake Off. For anyone who's watched that, where like no one's really against each other, everyone's rooting for each other. Whereas a lot of other competition shows, they try to create fake drama. They don't try to create fake drama in this. They just they explore the anxieties these people are having, but they don't try to have people butt heads.
Yeah, it's not Chopped or anything.
Yeah, there's a few playful rivalries, but they'll also at the same time be like, yo, that was a great build that you just did. Like, I'm so impressed. So it's just a really wholesome show to watch. It's really cool. 2 seasons of it are on Hulu by the time that this airs. Complete seasons.
It's really nice that it's hosted by Batman himself. So
yeah, Lego Batman, and he's just goofy. And you got to remember, this is primarily a family show, so it's kind of cheesy at points.
That's all right.
It is somewhat catered to children. But it's also catered to adults because all the contestants are adults.
They also say that the bag is like age 11 or like 5 to 11.
Yeah,
we all know it's for us.
Yes,
37-year-olds.
Hey, Legos are timeless, in my opinion. As long as you won't choke on it, you can play with it. But yeah, so that is Lego Masters on Hulu. It's also on Fox. But most people are probably going to watch this on Hulu.
Absolutely.
June 1st, last season's #1 new show is back.
With a bang!
Bigger challenges.
I am freaking out nervous.
More insane builds.
You're gonna have to build like you've never built before.
And a competition
Get your brick on!
like no other. Lego Masters Season 2.
So Lego Masters, that is my plug. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Roulette Week. Ooh. So for those of you who are not in the know, we spin the roulette wheel, the giant roulette wheel of all the streaming movies we have access to. And we spin it 3 times, and we pick the best option out of those 3 spins. And it's a very real roulette wheel that I'm going to spin for the first time right now. Bittersweet. A 30-year-old Egyptian goes back to Egypt after living in America for 20 years, where he has a hard time coping with the difference, especially after he loses his identity and all his money and becomes stuck in Egypt. That is on Netflix. It is directed by Khalid Marie, written by Khaled Diab, is starring Ahmed Helmi, Edward, Amy Samir Ghanem, and Lofty Labib. As always, I apologize if I mispronounce any of those. And that is on Netflix. It's got a 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good rating for a movie I've never heard about. So yeah, that is Bittersweet. Spin number 2. Trailer Park Boys, the movie. That is also available on Netflix. It is written and directed by Mike Clattenburg, also written by Rob Wells, starring Rob Wells, John Paul Tremblay, Mike Smith, and Lucy Decature, or I don't know. She plays Lucy in it. If you've seen Trailer Park Boys, you know who she is. So Trailer Park Boys in the movie. Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles come up with a scheme to steal large amounts of untraceable coins. That kind of sounds like Bitcoin a little bit. So yeah, Trailer Park Boys, the movie on Netflix. Spin number 3. In the Family, that is available on Netflix. So we got Netflix. We haven't done Netflix in a long time, I feel like. The original title is El Aracinda. Life of a singer, her daughter, and her friend change when they meet a divorced man. It is directed by Osan Akitan, written by Gulza Berzel, starring Engin Günyadin, Demet Evgar, Erdal Oziyalgilikar. Oh my goodness. Oh fuck. And Devrim Yakut. Let's see if I can find out where this is a Turkish film. That explains why my dumbass is being exposed right now. So yeah, those are our 3. We have In the Family, Trailer Park Boys the movie, and Bittersweet. What a collection of films.
I know.
I'm not disappointed like I've been other years. Or other weeks, but
any other time I'd be happy watching Trailer Park Boys. That's hilarious. But yeah. That's such a random choice.
Yeah.
I might be okay with Bittersweet, to be honest, as well.
That is what I'm leaning as well.
Because that IMDb score's got me wondering.
It's got me wondering as well. So yeah, let's just pull the plug on it. Not pull the plug. Push the plug.
Yeah, let's make it a plug.
Let's make it a plug. So Bittersweet, that is going to be available on Netflix. For a reminder, a 30-year-old Egyptian goes back to Egypt after living in America for 20 years, where he has a hard time coping with the difference, especially after he loses his identity and all his money becomes stuck in Egypt.
انت ايه بقالك كتير ما نزلتش مصر ولا ايه؟
20 سنة.
ياه 20 سنة؟ ده انت تلاقيك ما تعرفش حاجة خالص.
عدات حكى لي عنها كتير قوي.
انت اللي اسمك
مصري سيد العرب.
نورت مصر.
This land is your land.
وحيد سعودي يا فندم. أنا مصري.
This land is my land.
حضرتك لبناني صح؟ أنا مصري.
أم الدنيا.
From California.
أنا مصري. مصري؟ هات بقى الليلة دي بقى لمها لنا كده.
That's available on Netflix. That is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Twitter, Keystone_film. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. YouTube, Keystone Film Review. TikTok, whenever Glenn decides to start that, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I am Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we watch a comedy based in Egypt that is presumably Egyptian. That's all I really know.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.